been paid to the bandits as levy before mobilizing the children by a representative of the farm, while most of the adults working on the farm with the children were able to escape during the attack. The source said they demanded 3 million naira from the owner for him to be able to harvest his produce. He gave them 1 million naira as part payment and decided to begin the work before completing the money. But unfortunately, the bandits did not accept that. In our village, Marawa alone, we have 33 among the victims, including young ladies who are due for marriage. He said the owner of the farm is a Fulantoa resident, but this representative is residing in the Marawa village, adding that the bandits have used the cell phone of one of the victims to call demanding a ransom of 30 million naira. They said that they were at the farm to abduct the owner or his representative, stressing that since they could not meet either of them, they decided to kidnap those working for them. Police spokesman in Katsina State, SP Gambo Isa, assured that there was an ongoing effort by the police to rescue the victims with synergy with the state government and the older security agencies. Now move over to Ekiti State, where we have the former Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose was arraigned before a high court sitting in Ado-Ekiti, the state capital, on Tuesday for his alleged inability to offset 900 million naira he owed his former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Oweseni Ajayi, as legal fee. In this case brought before the court with resignation or registration number HAD 113 and 2018, the ex-Attorney General claimed they handled a total of 18 cases. He handled a total of 18 cases through his law firm for Fayose, with each costing 50 million naira as a professional fee, which he alleged was not paid. He said those cases were prosecuted for Fayose between 2006 and 2014, which bordered on his impeachment in 2006 and the corruption case filed against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, among others. In the right of someone disposed by the claimant, Ajayi asked the court for an order compelling the former governor to pay the professional fee without delay. He also sought an order compelling the defendant to pay 20% interest on the debt from October 5th to 2018 and 10% from the day of judgment. Fayose, in his plenary objection, urged the court to dismiss the case on ground that it was statute barred, improperly constituted, and the claimant failed to comply with the conditions precedent. Justice Olukayode Ogunana adjourned the case to December 13th, when parties are expected to adopt their final replies and written addresses. The Atiku Kowa Presidential Campaign Council has urged Nigerians to remain vigilant and security conscious following the security alert issued by foreign missions in Nigeria recently. Director of Strategic Communications in the council, Dele Momodo, gave the advice at a press conference in Abuja, saying the security alert by foreign missions remains a testament to the country's situation in terms of security. Momodu said the PDP and our presidential flag bearers are worried by the unabating insecurity in the country. The recent security alert by some foreign embassies and missions in Nigeria, though dismissed as unwarranted by the government, is just a reminder of the perilous time we are in at the moment. We call on security agencies to be at the top of their game to ensure that none of the scary scenarios painted by the security alert come to pass, while we also caution Nigerians to remain vigilant. Momodu added that the People's Democratic Party and its presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, are worried about the insecurity and economic challenges with the further devaluation of the Nigerian currency. He said the party is assuring Nigerians that the help is on the way as the policies enunciated the policy document. Our covenant with the Nigerians will not only bring Nigerians out of poverty, but also herald an era of prosperity and sustainable development in the PDP government come 2023. The managing director, D. Heavy Sixth Form College, Lagos, Dr. Onyola Ilo, has decried the poor remuneration of teachers in Nigeria, saying that the lack of good welfare for educators is contributing to the brain drain in this sector. Dr. Ilo also raised the alarm over the shortage of professional teachers in the sector, noting that many teachers have moved abroad for greener pastures, while lamenting the death of the teaching profession. Dr. Ilo reiterated that many countries are now searching for teachers to fill the gap in their countries. She said, to start with, what do we pay the teachers? Stipends, even though the exchange rate keeps rising daily. Meanwhile, we all go to the same market. However, unless you get a government job, you can't really survive the harsh economy. The school administrator called on Nigerian government to encourage more students to go into the teaching profession, as the sector is already lacking teachers. Parents do not want to pay for their children's education. So how are these teachers going to be paid? The teachers have to be paid from the students' school fees. I don't think teachers are getting a quarter of what doctors are receiving. Even frontline receptionists earn more than teachers. She lamented and urged government to encourage teachers by giving them incentives. The House of Representatives Committee on Public Accounts has alleged that some of those appointed by President Muhammadu Buhari are working against the anti-corruption campaign of his regime. House Committee Chairman Oluwale Oke came out with this as the lawmakers rejected the reduction of the proposed capital budget of the Office of the Attorney of the Auditor General of the Federation from over 2 billion naira to 62 million naira. Okay, particularly faulted the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, Budget Office of the Federation and the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. The committee consequently summoned the officials as well as the head of service or civil service of the Federation, who is to appear before the lawmakers within 7 days to justify the alleged deliberate attempts to cripple the auditing agency. And now you're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Stay with us. This is still Atlantic Television Network's Global News. And now we move over to some other stories. Vice President Yemi Osibajo on Wednesday said upon the assumption of office in 2015, the administration intentionally prioritized development of mineral resources for the economic growth of Nigeria. Osibajo, who represented the President Muhammadu Buhari at the 6th edition of the Nigerian Mining Week in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, said, on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari, I declare open the 6th edition of the Nigerian Mining Week and further reiterated our commitment to prioritizing the development of Nigeria's mineral resources as one of the frontiers for economic growth. Since the administration came into office in 2015, it has intentionally prioritized the development of country's mineral resources as one of the frontiers for economic growth. This led to the comprehensive roadmap for the growth and development of the Nigerian mining sector, and we have steadily followed the steps set aside in the roadmap. The VP maintained that the Buhari-led administration has committed more resources to development of the mining sector than any government in the history of the country. He declared, currently we have a world-class gold mine running in Osun State, the Echo Gold Coin, which has been refined to full 24-karat purity mining industries that supply the core needs of Dangote and Boa cement factories, and a steel plant in the process of producing liquid steel from its iron ore mine in Kaduna, and more, all from natural resources sourced within Nigeria. Ending impunity for crimes against journalists is one of the most pressing issues to guarantee freedom of expression and access to information for all citizens. Between 2006 and 2020, over 1,200 journalists have been killed for reporting the news and bringing information to the public. In 9 out of 10 cases, the killers go unpunished, according to the UNESCO Observatory of Killed Journalists. Impunity leads to more killings and is often a symptom of worsening conflict and the breakdown of law and judicial system. Lending a voice to the International Day to End Impunity Crimes Against Journalists is a political scientist and legal practitioner, Dr. Ikiri Joe Abraham, who was guest on ATN's Open Conversation. He said the United Nations, should go forth to grant journalists diplomatic protective status because they are doing an international job or a universal job.
I recall that in 2006, I attended an international conference on the protection of journalists in Sweden. And we looked at all the dimensions and came out with the result, or issued a communique that journalists or journalism, media workers and all that are doing what we call universal or international job. Therefore, the United Nations should go forth to grant journalists diplomatic protective status. In other words, just like if you hear this man is a diplomat, you already will restrain because he is covered with some diplomatic immunity. The work journalists do is akin to that. Therefore, journalists must be protected by both the government, the society. In other words, by both state and non-state actors.
Dr. Joe Ikiri Abraham further recounted the issues journalists face and seized the opportunity to caution them on the professional way of delivering their job.
I recall that in 2006, I attended an international conference on the protection of journalists in Sweden. And we looked at all the dimensions and came out with the result, or issued a communique that journalists or journalism, media workers and all that are doing what we call universal or international job. Therefore, the United Nations should go forth to grant journalists diplomatic protective status. In other words, just like if you hear this man is a diplomat, you already will restrain because he is covered with some diplomatic immunity. The work journalists do is akin to that. Therefore, journalists must be protected by both the government, the society. In other words, by both state and non-state actors.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, has advocated the need for countries around the world to focus on the potentials within Nigeria and indeed Africa as the world struggles to address challenges around global supply chains. The Speaker said this while discussing the topic, taking action for a resilient global supply chain at the World Strategic Forum organized by the International Economic Forum of the Americas taking place in Miami, Florida, USA. The panel discussion sought to look at the challenges facing global supply chains, how they were affecting businesses and economies around the world, and the solutions they could be put forward to address the challenges identified. In agreement with Speaker Gbajabiamila, the Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of the World Trade Center, Miami, Alice Ancona, stated that the world must draw lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic and look for the alternatives around the world in case of any unforeseen circumstances. The Speaker led the Nigerian delegation, which was made up of the Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Media, Benjamin Carlo, and Representative Joseph Bello. They were joined by other legislators from Tanzania, Zanzibar, Uganda, and Sierra Leone. The Federal High Court of Nigeria has constituted a special task force of judges to swiftly hear and determine all pre-election cases before it. This was made known on Wednesday in a statement by FHC's Assistant Director of Information, Dr. Catherine Obi Christopher, in Abuja. She said a circular letter issued by the Honorable Chief Judge of the Court, Justice John Tesho, said it became necessary to designate a team of judges following the large volume of pre-election suits that had flooded the court. Read in part, judges who are members of the task force will suspend all regular cases in their respective courts due to the urgency of the electoral cases, which are time-bound. In view of the large volume of pre-election cases filed so far, with the imminent attendant risk of lapsing, it has become necessary to constitute a task force to speedily dispose of the matters, particularly in those judicial divisions with a glut of them. Justice Tesho further stated that the judges would have 4 weeks within which to dispose of the pre-election cases. To some business stories, an expert in clearing and forwarding business, Francis Omotosho, has disclosed that the newly completed Lekki Deep Sea Port, worth $1.5 billion, would spur competition. Lekki Port is one of the biggest deep sea ports in West Africa and is expected to generate the $361 billion revenue for the Nigerian government, while also providing close to 200,000 jobs opportunity for the nation's teeming unemployed youth. Omotosho said the emergence of a state-owned Lekki seaport would spur competition, thereby leading to improved service delivery within the sector. His words, when you talk about the Lekki Deep Sea Blue Port, it is the first private port in Nigeria. All others are owned by the federal government. All over the world, there is a concept called the land mentioned to private companies. For the first time, we are having a state-owned port, which will aid competition between state and federal government, and this will import the sector positively. Dangote also has broken the jinx to have also flagged off his own port in Lekki. The state government has stood up to the opportunity responsibilities leading to the serious competition. That is the beauty of the business sector. Because Lekki's deep sea port will want to give satisfactory services to its customers. Soon clients will abandon Timkan Port, other ports, if they aren't doing enough. Nigerians will now have services rendered at a cheaper cost. We expect all the state government, private sector, and neighbor ports to come on board also. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Mohammed Abubakar, has dismissed concerns that Nigerians will experience food shortage in the coming months. restating the commitment of government in increasing food production despite lingering security services and issues in the country. The minister said this while briefing the press in Abuja on impact of flooding on food insecurity and the ministry's intervention. Our Abuja correspondent Nomo Meche has more on the story.
The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Mohammed Abubakar, has dismissed concerns that Nigerians will experience food shortage, restated the commitment of the government in managing erosion and desertification to ensure maximum support and increase in food production in Nigeria.
The devastating impact, damage and loss of lives and property due to flood is now becoming an annual event in many parts of Nigeria, and flooding often result in loss of soil fertility, agricultural commodities, that's crops, livestock and fisheries, and means of livelihoods to a lot of people in the country. To guide its interventions, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, in collaboration with relevant MDAs, carried out 2022 wet season agricultural performance survey of the country to provide empirical data as we support the amelioration of the adverse effect of floods and ensure increased food production in Nigeria. The immediate short and medium term are measures that will address this flood disaster. The following interventions are being implemented by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development and our various partners to mitigate an anticipated disruption of food production and supply occasioned by the floods. 1. Conduct of an immediate need assessment of affected communities and farmlands in all the affected states based on available remote sensing report of the 2022 flooding. Distribution of assorted food commodities from the federal government strategic grain reserve to the vulnerable and flood victims through the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, which is currently ongoing. Distribution of early maturing seeds, that is of wheat, rice, maize, sorghum, cassava cuttings, fertilizers, agrochemicals, and agro-equipment to affected crop farmers across the country.
He equally mentioned that the ministry is currently assessing the flood situation while placing appropriate measures in place to strengthen and empower communities to strengthen their resilience to improve food security.
Distribution of subsidized agricultural inputs such as fertilizer, certified seeds, and agrochemicals to affected wheat, rice, and maize farmers for dry season farming under the Agricultural Transformation Agenda Phase 1 and public-based operations, that's PBO, across the 36 states and the federal capital using the redesigned National Agricultural Growth Scheme and agro-market technology delivery platform to address flood and emerging food security challenges. Also capacity building and distribution of improved pasture seeds and biofertilizer for reseeding of pasture fields affected by floods. Distribution of brooded broilers for restocking of affected smallholder poultry farmers. Deploy ongoing mass vaccination of animals to prevent incident of diseases outbreak that usually occurs after flood disasters. Also distribution of fingerlings, juveniles and other fishing and fishery equipment to fishermen and fish ports, as well as restocking of lakes, dams and reservoirs affected by flood with juveniles and fingerlings for post-flooding fish production.
He further reiterated the joint effort with other stakeholders, ministries and agencies in collaborating for the nation's agricultural development in food, nutrition and wealth creation.
Also collaboration with the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, to strengthen existing early warning system through anticipatory action programs to empower communities before incidents of flood with a view to building their capacity and enhancing their resilience. This will ameliorate and improve food security and reduce losses to farmers. Development of a flood mitigation and resilient plan for the country to reduce the impact of annual floods. Collaboration with the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation (NAIC) to sensitize farmers on the importance of insuring their farms against possible disasters such as flood, fire, and drought. Some of our ongoing activities to increase food production in the country generally. Some of the ongoing activities of the ministry in collaboration with relevant agencies of government to increase food production are as follows. A. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development is in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Interior to improve security on farmlands through the deployment of agro-rangers across the country. Agro-rangers are specially trained personnel that are supposed to provide security to make sure the farmlands are secure. B. Approval of 5 years tax break as an incentive to encourage private investment in the agricultural sector and increase food production, processing, and marketing.
Norma Omeje, ATN News, Abuja.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company (NNPC) Limited on Tuesday announced it has signed a settlement and exit agreement with Sinopec's Adas Petroleum Development Nigeria to exit its 4 major oil mining blocks in the country. Given the agreement, Adax Petroleum has ceased to be the production sharing contract (PSC) contractor for the oil mining leases (OML) 123, 124, and OMLs 126 and 137. NNPCL Chief Finance Officer Umar Ajaya signed the agreement on behalf of the company, while the Managing Director of Adax Petroleum, Yango Chan, signed on behalf of his company. The signing of the agreement took place at the NNPC headquarters office in Abuja. In a tweet, NNPC said, earlier today, NNPC Limited and Adax Petroleum Development Nigeria Limited signed a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) on the transfer, settlements, and exit agreements (TSEA) for oil mining leases (OML 123 and 124 and OMLs 126 and 137. The PSC for the blocks was initially signed in 1973 between NNPC and Ashland and was terminated after 25 years. Adax took over ownership of the 4 OMLs after the NNPC terminated its contract with Ashland in 1998. Again, in 1998, the NNPC signed another PSC with Adax on the blocks and operated through Adax Petroleum for another 24 years, but revoked the mining licenses in April 2021, citing the company's inability to comply with targets. The decision was, however, restored by President Muhammadu Buhari 3 weeks later. The Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited, Maya Kiari, said the Adax transfer would boost the production of crude oil from the assets for the benefit of Nigeria. New Twitter head, billionaire Elon Musk, has announced a slash on Twitter verification fee from 20% from $20 monthly per month to $8 per month. Musk made this known in a series of tweets on Tuesday. He wrote out the benefits of owning a paid verified handle as priority in supply. Replies, mentions and such, which he said will help defeat spamming and scam. The Tesla car's owner also listed all the advantages, such as the capacity to post long-duration videos and audios and paywall bypass for publishers, among others. Musk wrote Twitter's current landlords and peasants system for who has or doesn't have a blue checkmark in blue shirts. About a power to the people, blue for $8 month. Price adjusted by countries proportionate to purchasing power parity. You will also get priority in supply, mentions and such, which is essential and to defeat spam and scam. Ability to post long video and audio, half as many ads. and paywall bypass for publishers willing to work with us. This will also give Twitter a revenue stream to reward content creators. There will be a secondary tag below the name for someone who is a public figure, which is already the case for politicians. Azman Air and Ibom Air have announced the resumption of flight operations at the Murtala Mohammed Airport Terminal 2, Lagos. The airlines had issued a notice on Tuesday alerting their passengers of flight disruption due to the demonstration by the Aviation Transport Service senior staff of Nigeria protesting against the dismissal of 37 workers by County Aviation Services Limited. As travel advice, Azman Air said, "This is to inform all our esteemed passengers departing Lagos that normalcy has been restored at the Murtala Mohammed Airport Domestic Terminal 2. In lieu of this, all our operations will resume at the terminal accordingly. We sincerely appreciate your understanding during the picketing at the terminal, and we are confident the situation has been handled with no hope of reoccurring." In a recent vein, Ibom Air also informed passengers departing from Lagos that normalcy had been restored at the MMA2, noting that flights scheduled for November 2nd, 2022 would operate. "We are pleased to announce our flight resumption at MMA2 Lagos. Therefore, our flights from November 2nd, 2022 will operate per schedule into and from MMA2 Lagos. Thank you for your patience and understanding." You are still watching the news on Atlantic Television Network. Up next is international tidbits. President William Ruto of Kenya has announced that Nairobi was deploying troops to the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo in a joint regional operations against the rebel offensive. Mineral-rich DRC is struggling to contain dozens of armed groups whose recent advances in the country's east have revived old anomalies and led a surge in tensions with neighboring Rwanda. Leaders of the seven-nation East African Community EAC bloc, in which Kenya is the regional heavyweight, agreed to April to establish a joint force to help restore security in DRC. In a statement in Nairobi on the deployment, Ruto said, "The troops are on a mission to protect humanity. The destiny of DRC is intertwined with ours. We will not allow our armed groups, criminal and terrorists to deny us our shared prosperity." Kenya will command the force, which will also include soldiers from Burundi, South Sudan and Uganda. A Rwanda contingent will be deployed along the border after Kinshasa objected to Kigali's participation in any operations within the DRC. It has been reported that days after Russia suspended support for grains export through the Black Sea, the country has again agreed with Turkey to restart its participation in the agreement. Russia had backed out of the agreement, accusing Ukraine of using a safety corridor for grain ships to attack its fleet in the Crimea region. But the United Nations, Turkey and Ukraine continued sending ships even after Russia halted its support for the deal. Russia's defense ministry now says Kiev has given written assurance not to use the route for military action. Germany's foreign minister has said this showed what the international community could achieve if it refused to be blackmailed by Russia. The deal was brokered by the UN and Turkey in July, bringing to an end 5-month Russian blockade of Russian ports that trapped millions of tons of grain and sunflower oil and sent food prices soaring. With the agreement, ships are allowed to sail through a safe corridor before being inspected by a special coordination team in Turkey and they headed on through the Bosporus Strait. The deal will end on November 19th, and those involved still have to agree extending it. Russia had for some time threatened to end its involvement before announcing last Saturday that it was halting its support, blaming Ukraine for a drone attack on the Black Sea Fleet based on Sevastopol in Crimea. Russia had warned that continuing with the deal without its involvement would be dangerous. Nevertheless, the ships continued to use the route to the extent that a recorded 354,000 tons left Ukrainian ports on Monday alone. And now we move over to some entertainment stories. Memories of the 18th edition of the Africa Movie Academy Award, AMA, will incomplete without the scintillating performances of leading Nigerian music stars King Sunny Ade and the P-Square Brothers. The 2022 edition of the AMAs was held on Sunday, October 30th, and had 5 Nigerian film winning a total of 8 awards. The entire show was aired live on StarTimes channels between 6 p.m. and 1 a.m. Nigerian films that won the 8 awards are Bolanle Austin Peters, Man of God, with 2 awards; Kunle Afolayan's Shallow, with 2 awards; Tokwe Ocean, Here Love Lies, with 1 award; Tunde Ainas on Underbelly, with 1 award; Ogo Okwes, A Song from the Dark, with 1 award; and Walter Banga's Jolly Roger. At the award ceremony that had King Sunny Ade celebrating nominees, African film enthusiasts and practitioners, Tanzania's Talk of War and South Africa's Surviving Gaza came after Nigerian with 4 awards each, while Boga, a film shot by a German director in Ghana, came next with 3 awards. Police in Lagos State have detained 2 of the 8 domestic workers of Nigerian citizen in the state. SP Benjamin Handain said the cook and nanny, whose duty was to cater for the well-being of the little boy, have been detained after serious interrogation. Ifeanyi reportedly drowned in a pool at the singer's Banana Island residence on Monday. It was reported that the nanny was with the toddler when the cook came to join them. The nanny was said to have moved away to receive a call, leaving him with the cook, who also said he had left the 3-year-old with the nanny. Ifeanyi was later spotted in the pool by a security guard 20 minutes later, dead. The deceased was Davido's only child with his 3rd baby mama, Chioma Rowland. Hip-hop artist Ludo Patney, professionally known as LP Official, has revealed plans to collaborate with some Nigerian artists on his forthcoming project. The American-based Ivorian-born hip-hop star artist, whose music career spans over 18 years, has worked with the likes of Snoop Doggy, Neo, and Daju, among others. LP Officials, who also doubles as an actor, has performed in over 700 concerts in 30 different countries across the world. On his musical career, he said, "Well, after dropping my album next year, actor Odunlade Adekola has celebrated the birth anniversary of his sweet 18 wife, Ruth, during last year's celebration when his wife clocked 40. The duo used the opportunity to renew their marital vows. The actor, via his Instagram page on Wednesday, shared photos with his wife in matching blue native attire. He described his wife as pretty sweet 18, best friend and gist partner, whom he is extremely fortunate to have in his life. Wishing the wife a happy birthday with love, the film star wrote. Arike Ade, happy birthday to my pretty wife, my sweet 18, laugh out loud. My best friend, I am so lucky to have you in my life. My gist partner, laugh out loud. Enjoy your day, love. Arike Ade, keep enjoying the glory of God as you celebrate another glorious year today. Happy birthday, Mommy D4. To sports now, Nigeria's Victor Sheme has been ranked the 4th most prolific striker so far this season in Europe's top 5 leagues, despite being out of 5 weeks due to a hamstring injury. The Nigerian striker has scored 7 goals in 8 league games, averaging a goal every 93 minutes in Serie A. The 23-year-old has been the trio Erling Haaland, Robert Lewandowski, and Kylian Mbappe. Norwegian striker Haaland, who joined Premier League champions Manchester City in a deal worth £51.5 million, is rated as the most prolific striker in Europe as so far this season. Haaland has scored 17 goals in his first 11 EPL games and has averaged a goal every 55 minutes. Barcelona's Lewandowski is rated as the second most prolific player in Europe, having scored 13 goals in 12 games. The Pole scores a goal in every 73 minutes played in the La Liga. In the fifth position is Oshime's compatriot, Terry Murphy, who has notched up 8 goals in 12 League One games. The Nigerian international averages a goal in every 108 minutes for Laurent, who sits fourth in French top flight log with 27 points from 13 games. Nigeria's under-17 coach, Manu Gaba, says the Nepalese striker has the potential to become Nigeria's best striker ever should his present form continue, rivaling or surpassing the record of late Rashidi Yekini. Now we'll move over to Kingsley, where he's standing by to head over to some sports stories. Over to you now, Kingsley.
Good evening, welcome to the Sport Base on ATN Global News. I am Kingsley Emmanuel. Nigerian Techball Federation has announced the inclusion for the sport at this month's National Sport Festival slated for Asaba Delta States. The sport will be making its debut at the National Sport Festival, and it will appear as a demonstration event and not as a scoring event. 11 states, namely Kwara, Plateau, Delta, Kogi, Edo, Taraba, Oyo, Enugu, Imo, Jigawa, and Gombe states have indicated interest to take part in the competition. And Nigerian League champions Rivers United goes to nil in Port Harcourt. Super Eagles defender Ewidiru was the hero on the afternoon as his 2 goals propelled Rivers United to a 5-0 win. Ewidiru opened the scoring for Rivers United from the penalty spot in the 12th minute after Paul Akwa was hacked down in the box by Al Nassr goalkeeper, who gets booked for the challenge. Kasi Einaya doubled the lead for Rivers United in the 15 minutes, and the Nigerian side missed a couple of scoring chances afterward, but got their third a minute before the break through Paul Akwa. Rivers United went into the break with a comfortable 3-0 lead, but the Nigerians didn't relax as they got their fourth in the 64th minute for the boot of Super Eagles defender Ewidiru. It became a messy afternoon for the visitors when Malaka Ohaume turned the boats in the 72nd minute, made it 5-0 for the hosts. Elsewhere, the second Nigerian representative in the CAF Confederation Cup, Plateau United, live up to the expectation after the MKO Abiola Stadium in Abuja with a 4-1 win over El Kada of Libya. Plateau United dominated the game, and their efforts paid earlier with an opening goal from Mustafa Yuga in the 27 minutes. Ifeanyi Emmanuel added the second goal just before halftime and handed the hosts a well-deserved 2-0 lead. But Hillary finally scored a fantastic acrobatic goal in the 75th minute and made it 3-0 for the hosts. The away side reduced the deficit in the 85th minute before Hillary completed his brace in the 90th minute and secured a 4-1 win for the Nigerian side. Akada will play Plateau United next week in the reverse fixtures. And away from that, a squad dominated by players from the Nigerian Professional Football League will tomorrow depart for a friendly against World Cup qualifiers Costa Rica. The team, to be led by coach Salisu Yusuf, will also have a sprinkling of players from overseas. And former Chan Eagle star Sunday Falaye and Isaiah Eje from a Swedish club, Majula, are among the players in the training camp. Nigerian under-23 stars Dasana Wosu, Dominion Ohaka, Daniel Watale, as well as Samuel Kalu, Paul Sampson, Alex Jerry, and Enobong Ezekiel are also in camp. The Costa Rica friendly is fixed for November 10th in San Jose. And away from that, we hear the Minister of Youth and Sport Development, Mr. Solidari, has sent out the federal government will organize a befitting and special reception for the national female under-17 team Flamingos for winning the bronze medal at the just concluded FIFA under-17 women, which was held in India. Receiving the coach Bankole Oluruke-led team outside the VIP section of the Moshida National Stadium, Abuja yesterday, Dari thanked the team for their efforts and for bringing honor to Nigeria and put smiles on the faces of millions of Nigerians. He said the president outside the appropriate time will host the team and reward them for their exploits in India, saying their efforts would not go unnoticed. According to Dari, the Flamingos displayed the true spirit of sportsmanship during the competition, as no one was in doubt about the talents at the disposal of for the team and their skills they showed to the entire world in India. He thanked the NFF for preparing the team, organized them very well, and provided the logistics that made them succeed during and after the tournament. A dummy check of the sum of 3 million naira promised the team by Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa was presented to the players and officials outside the airport. And chairman of the NFF Task Force and Youth Competition, Aja Aminu Abba Lele Kofi, promised the team the sum of $10,000. And that's what's up for the sports news on ATN Global News. I am Kingsley Emmanuel, taking you back to the news desk.